Well, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
It's
Wow, the energy.
well, I was lost in thought. I'm thinking about your event tonight.
Yes,
you have
thanks
the big
to Drag.
Thanks to Drag.
Super excited at the venue at the Manor. Yeah. Hopefully I'll see you guys there.
I'm coming. Faye's coming.
Yes.
Faye's coming because she's a drag queen.
She is.
She
is.
Make sure you tell her I said
She's
that.
the drag queen.
She's drag queen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's important. How are you enjoying Sunsurf?
It's been wonderful so far.
Whirlwind.
Yes.
Yeah.
4 weeks in now.
Wow.
Super exciting.
Congrats.
You've been there a month.
This starts my 4th week.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. Welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 8 p.m. Tuesday, November 30, 2021, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are part of the partnership between Happening Out Television Network and Hotspots Magazine. Hotspots is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ plus experience. We bring you the best of LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our community.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson, and let's welcome Tony Lima. He is CEO of Sunserve right here in Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale. Of course, you know him as a longtime South Florida LGBTQ plus activist and political advocate, as well as the anchor of the world's first monthly transgender talk show called Translation. Good evening, Tony.
Good evening, Al. I'm so happy to be here, as I am weekly with you. And tonight, with a special event after this show. Tonight is Sunserve's Thanks to Drag at the venue at the Manor, and it's going to be an incredible celebration of life. A bunch of drag queens, some live performances with singers and musicians. It's going to be fantastic. So if you want to come out and have a really good time and support Sunsurf today on Giving Tuesday, come out and hang out with us.
I can't wait to see you in drag.
Wait till you see what I look like in my fantastic costume.
Wait, this isn't you in drag?
No.
Listen, it's not that far-fetched. I've done it before.
Right.
I have videos to show you.
Can't wait.
Now we're going to welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, a 1999 inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 5 books of poetry. As an entertainment journalist, he has celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ+ and mainstream publications and websites. And his screensaver movie review column can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Hello, beautiful people. Let's welcome anchor Dale Stine, a master's graduate from Juilliard School. He is a well-known photographer, famous for his photographs of internationally acclaimed celebrities and personalities. He is presently the director of music ministry at Unity on the Bay and moderator of South Florida's largest LGBTQ plus Facebook group, Miami Gay List. He served on the Miami Beach LGBTQ Advisory Committee and now sits on the city's Human Rights Committee. Good evening, Dale.
Hi. Thanks so much for that. Let's welcome anchor John Hayden, a reporter for South Florida Gay News covering politics, arts, and philanthropic organizations. John has been a journalist for 26 years, much of it covering the stupidity and scandals of Hollywood. He's interviewed nearly every big name in TV, movies, music, and considers the time he spent with Cher as the best 4 minutes of his life. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Dale. Thank you, everyone. I just want to mention that tomorrow is World AIDS Day. There are many events going on across South Florida, many here in Broward County, lots are up in Palm Beach County, there are also some in Miami-Dade. We have a list of those, and we talk with Dr. Raquel Lopes of the World AIDS Museum. So if you want to observe it, there are things beginning at the Galleria Mall in Fort Lauderdale in the morning. There's a walk tomorrow evening, and they're all on South Florida Gay News, sfgn.com online right now. So please go have a look. Remember, celebrate the people who are still working to end this terrible plague that we've been in. We are now in our 5th decade of, so please do that. And we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Tuesday, November 30th.
Well, let's begin by queering up politics. Fox News claims Omicron COVID variant was created to make Pete Buttigieg president. Watch this.
Yeah, I've said that many times. I want to go back to the America where I didn't have to know what the supply chain crisis, what even a supply chain was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I never had to think about it. And here we live in this country where, you know, and by the way, ironically, as we're still like they still haven't fixed the supply chain crisis. And yet now we're hearing more talk about our transportation secretary as a, you know, potential replacement for Kamala Harris and a potential person to run for on the Democratic ticket for president.
And we're toying around with the ideas of potential lockdowns once again.
Yes.
We're toying around with the idea of shutting down an economy which created this crisis. Mandates then contributed to it as well, but you cannot shut down an economy and expect it to come rearing back.
Exactly right. All while the state of Florida has the lowest COVID cases in the country.
And probably the highest population of elderly as well, which is ironic as well. But I just wanted to mention, because you mentioned the lockdown, Pete Buttigieg, our transportation secretary, is potentially our new president in 2024, or so the Democrats want, has said we can't fix the supply chain problem until the pandemic is over, until COVID is over. And now we see these new variants. So that's the answer, is more lockdowns, more fear. And therefore, he doesn't have to do his job of fixing the supply chain because we'll just keep this whole thing going.
I wonder tonight in our commenting if we are going to sound like Fox and Friends. No. Several Fox News hosts suggested that the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is part of a conspiracy to get out Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg elected president in 2024, because after all, that's what the Democrats want. The host of Fox and Friends on Saturday were talking about the mostly recently isolated variant of the COVID-19, which is shutting down international travel and raising concerns that more lives will be lost in the pandemic. But Fox's Rachel Campos Duffy, bright person, focused on the important question at hand. Is Pete Buttigieg somehow behind all of this? The hosts then debate how the Secretary of Transportation is failing and causing the supply chain issues, apparently forgetting that the supply chain slowdown started in 2019 under former President Trump when he began his trade war with China. 2020 saw many discussions of supply chain issues, especially when referencing PPE, remember that, for healthcare workers.
If you notice, one of the banners, at the bottom of that clip was Trump, we never heard of supply chain. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that.
Right.
And I do
with infrastructure.
Yeah. And I do have friends who work at Fox News Channel. I do. And so if you're asking, are they on the people on the TV show on crack? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes.
I'm just embarrassed for her specifically.
Oh, she looks terrible.
As a Latinx person, I'm embarrassed for her. Like, lady, shut up.
Yeah.
She's really embarrassing herself constantly with all of her ridiculous rhetoric and commentary.
And who can take her seriously? She got her start on Real World San Francisco on MTV. I mean, seriously. And let me tell you something.
I was going to say, you're a crack investigative reporter.
And let me tell you something, Rachel. Your vocal fry is probably the cause of COVID-19.
And the supply chain problem.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the problem of all things.
You know, it's the epitome of what's going on at Fox. I watched on Morning Joe this morning. Mika Brzezinski just went off and said Fox News is not a media outlet, and said it like 50 times in a row, of her expression of going, wait, just talking heads does not make you the news. And then I look around our table.
On that note, let's queer up the world. Botswana High Court rejects bid to recriminalize gay sex in huge win. In June 2019, the Botswana High Court struck down Section 164 of the country's penal code, which outlawed sex between men. Until then, gay sex was punishable by up to 7 years in prison. The ruling was challenged in July of the same year when Attorney General Abraham M. Kitshabi launched an appeal to reestablish the colonial-era law. The appeal was scrapped on Monday, 29th of November, and following the 2-year legal battle, Botswana has now upheld that same-sex relations between men are legal.
But is it only a matter of time? I'm sorry to be Debbie Downer, but only a matter of time for the church to come in, as they're doing in other places in Africa, and just say, oh no, we've got it, this can't be.
Well, and the church to come in just like in America?
No, meaning in Botswana, that they're...
No, I know you're meaning in Botswana, but I mean, it's the evangelicals here, so it's a similar situation, comparable situation there.
Right.
Well, now remember, this is South Central Africa, so it's like borders South Africa, which is the leader in gay rights. Civil rights, yes, on the continent. But and this is a huge win for that part of the world, but let's remember, that's something we won less than 20 years ago here in America, and that was Lawrence versus Texas, which coincidentally we're going to talk about more later in the show. But yeah, the right spreads slowly.
It's progress nonetheless, though. And I think given your point of being so close to South Africa, maybe they can help to push for this to continue being law.
It's a ray of good news coming from the African continent. As we know, we've reported at Queer News repeatedly. Currently, there's a war going on in Ghana over LGBTQ rights, which is the worst in the entire world. So this is a ray of good light that the continent needs, and hopefully Botswana and, of course, the leadership in South Africa will have a long shadow over the rest of the continent for the LGBTQ community.
And now we queer up the USA. New survey shows many older queer adults face abuse, yet rarely report it. A survey conducted by Oregon's Human Services Department has found that most older lesbian, gay, or bisexual people in the state have reported experiencing discrimination, and many also reported experiencing elder abuse. The agency found that LGB older adults experienced higher rates of poverty, suicidal thoughts, and overall economic instability. Respondents described issues getting appropriate health care and social services, such as food or transport assistance, partly because of their identity. Older LGBT people in the state also reported feeling isolated from others. Mary Rita Hurley, the 62-year-old lesbian co-founder of the advocacy organization LGBTQ Aging Coalition, told the Salem Reporter, quote, "We still fall under all the things that happen to older adults. Then, on top of that, particularly depending on how old the older LGBTQ person is, there is still an amazing amount of stigma out there. We still have people in the closet," end quote.
It's such a sad state of affairs, and this is going on, and also in the nursing homes, in those situations. So it's going on in the larger community and in homes where people are supposed to be safe, but they are not.
Well, and that's why places like the center in Philadelphia and the one here, where there's senior housing communities, but these are big cities, and we're talking about probably smaller cities in Oregon. So it's hard.
I just want to say that this is a really eye-opening story, and I have both of your backs. I have your back. I will fight for your rights.
You know how close we are in age?
We're not. What do you mean? What do you even mean?
This story just hits really hard at this table, I got to tell you.
I wasn't including you, Dale. You were saved.
I'm nervous. I'm going to be 30 next year.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Girl.
Girl.
What kind of math is that?
You know, to an audience under 50, which there's basically no one at this table. Here's why this story is really a big deal. When you see the Gallup polling, even as basic as Gallup polling of LGBTQ acceptance in America, if you are 17 to 25, the acceptance of LGBT community is in the 90 plus percentile. Then every 10 years it goes down. The lowest of the lowest is 65 plus. So for seniors that are 65 plus in America, we live in the largest senior concentration geographic area on the entire planet. And Florida is the worst because of that for LGBTQ seniors, because of the smallest percentage of acceptance. And the tragedy of this story is that in terms of LGBTQ aging issues, the greatest discrimination is among older people against older people. What we're watching in Gen Z and Millennial is not happening in baby boomers and beyond. And that's why this story is so important. We've got to, in 2022, just like I've said about Queer News Tonight, about lesbian issues and trans issues, seniors must be one of the areas in 2022 that we focus on much, much more in terms of story highlight.
Well, that is our queer headlines for today. So next, let's catch up on the LGBTQ plus news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies.
Queer News Tonight has reported on coronavirus every week since January 6, 2020. Tonight we report that as of today, more than 3,451,000 LGBTQ plus Americans have contracted COVID-19.
Queer News Tonight remembers the more than 56,000 LGBTQ plus Americans that have died from coronavirus.
But the news is improving because as of today, more than 459 million vaccination doses have been administered in the U.S.
Next up, welcome to Queer News Tonight, Q&A on LGBTQ plus health and pandemic. Since February of 2020, this segment has been unique in America, answering your LGBTQ plus community questions about our unique health needs. We are proud to have Queer News Tonight's health anchor, Dr. Howard Grossman.
He is an American pioneer in HIV and AIDS medical treatment and was the executive director of the American Academy of HIV Medicine. He is a nationally recognized medical expert and proud member of our LGBTQ plus community.
Well, we are having some technical difficulty on Dr. Grossman, so we're going to come back in just a minute, and we're going to move on to our next story, which we will do because I'm going to lead it. We told you, we're live.
Which story are we on now?
And what is that?
CEO of
And we will come back to Dr. Grossman as soon as we have the ability. So that is all of the pandemic news in terms of COVID-19 for tonight. Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine in support that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ plus religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Athena Dion, drag performer known from performing on South Beach and in Mykonos, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Well, now we finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus Flash News.
LGBTQ plus Flash News. America's most famous gay strip club, Swinging Richards, is set to close. After 30 years of operation, the nationally known Swinging Richards bar is closing, according to an announcement by the Gay Male Strip Club. On Instagram, they posted, quote, "After 30 years of being a staple in the Atlanta LGBTQ plus community, it is indeed true that we will be closing our doors. January 15th, 2022. We want to thank the countless people who have come and have been entertained by our boys over the years. You all have meant the world to us for giving so much support over the last 3 decades. Our boys will miss your friendship, your kindness, your participation, and seeing your smiling and especially faces, and especially those, Oh, my prompter's on a whirlwind. It's going back. Somebody take over.
Especially those that have frequented us. We love our regular members. You all made us world-renowned, and there is no thank you we could ever show enough gratitude. In 2017, All Male, All Nude premiered, which was a documentary about swinging Richards told mostly through the perspective of the performers. A follow-up was done later titled All Male, All Nude Johnsons, about the Johnsons Club in Wilton Manor. I've never even heard of it. Both films
were made by Harold McCullough.
They were. I can't even remember. I'm sorry.
Right. That's a mouthful, a handful, and a whole lot of full, that story. Everything about it. My teleprompter people went crazy.
Yeah, well, that's called overexcited.
Wait, stop.
Right. Wait, what? No. As somebody who has enjoyed Atlanta's Swinging Richards many times, you will be missed.
And Johnson's.
And Johnson.
This is what happens when you have all cisgender gay men at the table. Oh, that's all I'm trying to say.
I'm all forgot.
Oh my God. Oh my God, were you wearing that?
Just talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, I knew that was missing. I can't even remember the last time I was
Wait, he took that off you?
No, I watched him take it off here right now.
LGBTQ plus flash news. The iconic Sharon Gless reveals kiss and lesbian feelings about Rosie O'Donnell. TV icon Sharon Gless, best known for her roles on Queer as Folk and Cagney and Lacey, love that show, has opened up about the time she made out with Rosie O'Donnell and had strange feelings that it brought on. The 78-year-old dishes about her romantic history in her new memoir. Apparently, there were complaints. In the book, she details how she met her husband, dated an unknown Steven Spielberg, and made out with Queer as Folk guest star Rosie O'Donnell. In an interview with CBS News' Ben Mankiewicz, she said, quote, "It's the first time I had ever kissed a woman, and here it is on screen. Rosie sends me flowers the next day, sends me a dozen roses saying, 'You're a good kisser.'" Apparently, the moment also brought on some feelings of confusion for Gless. She and O'Donnell began a very close friendship thereafter. So close, Gless began to question her own sexuality. Watch this.
But on the show Queer as Folk, Gless did kiss guest star Rosie O'Donnell.
Love you.
Hey, how's it going?
You too. It's the first time I'd ever kissed a woman. And here it is on screen. And Rosie sends me flowers, sends me a dozen roses saying, "You're a good kisser."
From there, a friendship grew. Then, years later, there was this one moment with Rosie.
One night, I was building such intense feelings for her. I really was coming to love her. And I think I got confused. At dinner, I said, "Ro, do you think, I'm married, she's married." Right. And she said, "Oh, Glessy, no." I said, "Really?" She said, "You're so straight." She laughed at me.
I loved her on Queer as Folk, loved her on Cagney and Lacey, even though I wasn't supposed to stay up that late, and I certainly wasn't supposed to watch. And this kiss should have happened on that show way back then. But progress is progress. Glad we're here.
Yeah, I don't know whether to be disturbed or not, but I find this story to be a kind of a turn on. I love the idea of them together.
Yeah. Glessy. I love the phrase Glessy. And I really respect Rosie O'Donnell's response, because this is the quintessential straight cis male moment that everyone dreads, or many, many dread. And Rosie O'Donnell handled it beautifully, and Sharon Gless handled it beautifully, even questioning, wait, what's going on here? And Rosie O'Donnell's answer, absolutely not. Right? Love it.
I want to see more celebrities come out with stories like this, right? Sexuality is not black and white. We are all made up of all different shades. So I love these stories because they make all of us much more relatable.
Mm-hmm. And you can also read my interview with Sharon Gless in the Washington Blade, Dallas Voice, Watermark, and upcoming issues of Grab Magazine,
oh my goodness.
The Mirror, and Bay Area Reporter. Love you, Sharon.
Wow.
Wow. LGBTQ. I was waiting for him to take off another article of clothing. LGBTQ flash news. Transgender Miss USA contestant eliminated early. Watch this.
This dress is a recreation of the gown I wore at Miss Nevada USA 2021. My previous gown has become such an iconic dress, and I wanted to challenge myself into creating another unforgettable moment. I put over 100 hours of work and over 10,000 stones to show that pride isn't a monthly celebration, but one that exists in you. The colors are our diversity that makes us unique and powerful, and we must celebrate and embrace what allows us to shine brighter and colorful than others.
Catalina Enriquez, the first openly transgender Miss USA contestant, was eliminated before the round of 16 at the pageant Monday, prompting social media responses lamenting her finish. The pageant ultimately awarded its crown to Elle Smith, a reporter at Louisville, Kentucky television station WHAS. Earlier in the day, Enriquez, 27, was celebrated as a champion in her home state, Nevada. On Monday night, Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak tweeted, quote, "Cheering on Miss Nevada, Catalina Enriquez tonight as she competes for hashtag Miss USA. Catalina represents the best of her community and our state, and when she takes the stage, she'll make history," end quote. Senator Jackie Rosen agreed, tweeting, quote, "Catalina is making history as the first openly transgender woman to compete in Miss USA, and I couldn't think of anyone better to represent the Silver State," end quote. I love this story. I love Catalina. She is stunning. I love that she used every moment as a platform to reveal that she was transgender over and over and over again, and she's a Latina. Fascinating.
Could you imagine Governor Death Sentence having those kinds of kind words for someone, or Marco Rubio? I don't think so.
I can't imagine them having kind words for anyone. I would never work at WHAS. They always have subpar talent. You go, girl.
Wow. I really love that. First of all, that gown is stunning. And I love her embracement of the entire community, saying, I'm trans, and yes, I'm a part of this larger community, which I would hope that we would all do more on a regular basis, which we do on this show for sure.
You know, Tony and I were here the night that we reported on Catalina's win as Miss Nevada and the history of being the first trans winner of a Miss USA state pageant. We congratulated you that night. You didn't win this pageant, and we congratulate you this night. You represented the entire community, especially the trans community, but our entire LGBTQ community brilliantly. And the other thing that I want to remind you of, I think one of the greatest moments of your participation in Miss USA, regardless of outcome, was that your governor and your senator comes out in vocal support for you. It's referred to here at the table. We're broadcasting from Florida, and our governor and our senator wouldn't do that for you. Congratulations, Nevada. Well, we are going to have one final story tonight, and we're going to explore an age-old subject that keeps being discussed over and over and over again. So let's try to figure it out as we queer up gay culture. Reddit readers discuss exactly what is the gay agenda. Well, in recent years, politicians have begun using the gay agenda as a phrase, as a dog whistle to whip up their voting base.
Transgender youth are being vilified as predatory men trying to cheat in sports.
Queer News Tonight has repeatedly reported on a law being debated in Ghana, where supporters try to stop the gay agenda by making any LGBTQ+ support illegal.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has enacted laws banning LGBTQ+ content from television or media that may be seen by people under 18, as his thoughts are that the gay agenda is to convert children.
Now, in Lawrence versus Texas, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned laws banning homosexual acts, but in a scathing, homophobic dissent, Justice Antonin Scalia wrote, "Today's opinion is the product of a court, which is the product of a law profession culture that has largely signed on to the so-called homosexual agenda, by which I mean the agenda promoted by homosexual activists directed at eliminating the moral opprobrium that has traditionally attached to homosexual conduct end quote.
So what exactly is the gay agenda? In short, we would suggest it is the fight for equal rights for members of the LGBTQ plus community.
The gay agenda is fighting for equal healthcare access for the transgender members of our community.
The gay agenda is student access to all extracurricular activities they may want to join, no matter their gender, even if it's sports ball.
The gay agenda is protection from housing discrimination. Many areas still allow landlords to deny housing to people based on their sexual identity.
The gay agenda is freedom for the LGBTQ plus community. Freedom to be able to exist publicly without fear of violence.
Well, what do we think about the politics of the gay agenda? It's being discussed, and by the way, if you tuned in right now, if you turned us off and turned on Fox News, there's a 50-50 chance they're discussing the gay agenda.
Right. We're very busy. We're very busy saving the world as opposed to destroying it, which is what they would have you believe.
But at least today, and unlike 20 years ago, like we were referring to Lawrence v. Texas, the gay agenda isn't just one-sided. It's not like 2% of America feels this way and the other 98% are just like, no, you two go away. It's a divisive issue, even if it's ambiguous, and it is a dog whistle, but at least it's being discussed. This terrible dog whistle that they use, and people are beyond our community, our allies are fighting back. They're saying, no, not any more of this. These are our brothers and sisters. These are our neighbors. And so I think we've come a long way, and the gay agenda is slowly, but being revealed for what it is.
I think what's interesting about this is we framed it in a perfect way, because the gay agenda, according to us, the community of activists that are pushing it forward, are a series of issues that intersect with all of our identities. We talk about housing, we talk about discrimination, we talk about inequities that exist in our society. It's really about that. So the gay agenda, for me as an activist, are all those real life issues that are actively affecting the communities that are out there, the most marginalized most of the time.
And maybe we should start talking about the straight agenda, which doesn't look too good. Ours is definitely better.
Yeah. And before we move on to some of the Reddit comments, which we're going to move to in a moment, I think it's interesting as I continually hear the gay agenda. It's the focal point in Hungary. It's the focal point in Poland. It is definitely the focal point in Ghana, in Russia. Interesting, this conversation we're having right now of what do we think about the gay agenda? This broadcast in Russia right now violates the law. You can't even talk about it. Now that tells you volumes about what's going on here. Russia is trying to extinguish conversation. They're trying to diminish thought. They're trying to prohibit speech. Then when you think about gay agenda and anybody that is using that phrase in a negative process, a very smart historian has said, and I have read over and over again, we should always turn back and look at history to apply to what is going on in current time. And I go back to the 1960s and go, I wonder if this is what black people faced, the black agenda of civil rights, or in the 70s when women's rights moved along, the woman's agenda, or the agenda to extinguish whoever's civil rights you're pursuing. I think that it's an interesting proposition in terms of the same kind of hate. This is hate speech. When gay agenda is used, it really is a dog whistle for hate speech. That's the seriousness of this. But we're gay. We're LGBT, so we also like to have some of the fun play of it. So as serious as our struggles are in LGBTQ, some users over at Reddit, I love Reddit, recently discussed what the gay agenda really was. Apparently what we just talked about, we got it all wrong. While there were some serious answers, many users decided to make jokes about schedules, and many discussed brunch and parties or drinking. Before we discuss those comments, let's lighten the mood just slightly with this video from comedian Michael Henry. Watch this.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Oh, what a week.
But we made it, bitches.
How often did you guys drink?
Ooh, Tuesdays I go downtown for lip sync contest. Wednesdays after dodgeball. Thursday for drag race viewing party. Fridays for big fat fuckhole. Saturday and Sunday for bingo brunch. Or when I'm celebrating something. Ooh, or sad about something.
You don't drink on Mondays?
Oh my god, Michael, no, I'm not insane. I only drink when I'm outside or hanging out with people. I am single after all.
Cheers to that. Oh. But do you ever think you drink to escape?
Escape what? The sadness and loneliness that being single brings.
Oh my god, I find it so much easier to talk to men at the bars after I've had a couple drinks because I know that they've had a couple of drinks.
It's stressful being gay and trying to find love. My parents and I don't talk about my love life because it makes them uncomfortable. My younger brothers are already married and I've been to 10 wedding parties alone this year. I'm going into debt celebrating my straight friends' love lives.
Well, that's the price we pay for being the life of the party.
I maxed out all my credit cards.
Oh, okay, wow.
I work at Coffee Bean, I share a studio apartment, I don't have health care, and I pay for the champagne with coins I found in a shoe. I am single, broke, and overwhelmed.
Was it your shoe?
You should talk to your therapist about that. Oh, can't afford it. This is my therapy. I've actually had a pain in my eyeball for the last 6 months, but I'm not worried about it.
Who wants to know why I drink?
Me!
Well, I grew up in a small town in New York where I was bullied incessantly by all my male peers for being gay. Having your male peers be the ones to torment you and tell you you're shit, be the same gendered person that you're sexually attracted to, is really a total mindfuck.
That's enough to drive you to drink.
Tell me about it.
Should we all just blurt out the reasons we've intertwined our gay existence with alcohol?
Sure!
I'm ashamed of my body unless I'm drunk. Gay pride is basically a drinking competition.
I don't like the way I sound when I'm sober.
Internalize homophobia.
Oh!
I don't think I'm worth it or funny unless I have a cocktail in my hand.
First time I kissed a boy was at a gay bar.
I never got love from my dad.
I don't know how to have sex sober.
No one likes me when I'm not drinking.
At the end of the day, gay men have been drinking alcohol to relax and express themselves easier for years.
Sometimes to escape the heteronormative world we live in by going to clubs and parties with our friends. But can't tell whether or not they're an alcoholic or drink too much because we're drinking the same amount as our peers. Guys, I'm blacked out.
Same. Cheers to us. I'm stopping today.
No.
Okay.
You said it before.
And that, America, is the gay agenda. Here are some of our favorite funny responses from the Reddit thread about the gay agenda. Several users posted, "Be gay, do crime." And there's more. Listen to these.
Equal rights for all. And spread the good word about Carly Rae Jepsen.
6:30 to 7:30, gym. 7:30 to 8, right back home. 8 to 9, shower, breakfast, walk the dog. 9 onwards, take over the world. Evening, optional, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars.
I don't think RuPaul's Drag Race is optional. Convert all the straights, ending reproduction and halting the mass population growth, thus slowly and eventually stopping mankind's destruction of the earth.
Me, I am the gay agenda. I will fill you in later. Oh, and by the way, that's a top joke, by the way.
I didn't get it.
It was the wrong person telling the joke.
Oh, no. Shade is the gay agenda.
Shade is the gay agenda.
Right,
I agree.
Had the gay agenda there.
And humor.
The gay agenda is halting the supply lines so that we can get Pete Buttigieg president.
Yes.
And
I'm all for it.
to support science by probing Uranus.
Yeah.
Oh.
And being drunk while you do it, apparently.
And getting jabbed.
Yeah.
You know, get the jab.
That's what we
kind of
showed
jab?
up.
You know,
Oh.
whichever one you can get.
Do you think the haters, evangelicals, and extreme right-wing Republicans, and QAnon, never forget QAnon, ever, do you think we'll defeat them with gay humor that is the basis and platform of our gay agenda? Do you think we'll defeat them?
No, I think if anything, it's more ammunition to use against us.
Yeah.
Because what we find hilarious, they will find extremely offensive and use it against us.
Because we find satire. We see satire and irony and all those things. And when you see some of those clips of some of those people, for example, at the former president's rally, and saying things that you think, that's a joke, right? That's got to be a joke. It's funny if it's a joke. But like, it's not.
It's serious.
That's why he never went to the correspondence dinner, ever. First president since the correspondence dinner began that never went to the correspondence dinner because he couldn't take a joke.
No sense of
No humor.
No
none.
sense
Zero.
of humor at all.
Zero.
Right.
Yeah.
So he definitely couldn't be gay.
Right.
Even though he's the biggest LGBT gay supporting president ever in history.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
I've heard that.
He's joking, folks. He's joking.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the gay agenda.
According to your friend over at Fox,
Yes.
Tucker, your buddy, your
Exactly. My buddy.
bestie.
Tucker, call me.
On that note, that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups of which you're a member. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
If our community is to grow, and we have the gay agenda dominate, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that is the passion of the Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, I've got a joke formulating in my head. The anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Tony Lima. He's closer in age than you would ever suspect.
Never. That's not
Gregg Shapiro. You protest too much. Dale Stine and John Hayden. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. Good night.
Night.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBT